All right, in this video, we're going to talk about why your CPA keeps rising and how winning brands actually respond when this happens. And it's worth noting immediately that it is probably not your ads that are at fault. First thing you've got to understand is that CPAs going up over time is inevitable. Every single Shopify brand eventually feels this. Every company in the world feels this, right? Acquiring customers gets more expensive over time, and it's not just on Meta, but across every single paid channel. So it's not a platform issue, right? And it is what happens as more brands compete. More money enters the market, the auctions, and attention becomes more scarce. And Meta just gets blamed because that's where most Shopify brands spend the most, right? You probably know this yourself if you're running a brand. And the real question isn't why do CPAs keep rising? It's kind of what can we do? Because we can't stop CPAs from rising. We can't stop more people from entering the market, more competitors. We can't stop attention becoming more scarce. We can just respond to that. And that's what winning brands do very, very well. So I would say that, for at least 80% of the brands that I've spoken to in the last year, which is about 500 or so, most of them are suffering from a CPA issue that is outside of the ads account. But they all blame it on the ads, right? And in reality, there are three bottlenecks that show up over and over again. And when you fix them properly, you can expect somewhere between a 30 and 50% reduction in your cost to acquire a customer. Not because your ads are changed, but because the system that is around the ads, right, that the ads feeds into, has actually started converting traffic properly. So let's talk about the bottlenecks. The first one is websites that don't convert, right? If you've got poor, messaging above the fold, like on your product pages or on your homepage, if your website isn't optimized for mobile, which almost everybody uses to shop on your website, and if you've got poor social proof and like kind of truth proof signals, not truth signals, proof signals, then you're going to struggle to convert any of the traffic that you send to your website, irrespective of whether that came from Meta or organic or whatever. So yeah, when your site doesn't do the selling, your ads are forced to do that, and that always impacts your CPA. And it's not fair to put all the responsibility on your ads for getting you the customers. They are just a piece of the puzzle. The second bottleneck that I would say that I see the most is weak or just missing email flows. When they're weak, a massive percentage of the traffic that has already shown intent, has already visited your page, has already put something in their cart, has already engaged with your brand in some way, but not become a customer yet, doesn't become a customer, right? You're paying for those clicks, you're paying for those sessions, and you should be converting more of them. And you would be if your flows were better, right? If you had better welcome flows, if you had better browse abandonment flows, if you had better cart abandonment flows. Strong flows capture demand that would otherwise be lost, right? When more of your traffic converts, CPA drops automatically. This is really logical. If you send a certain percentage of people through to, like a certain number of people through to your website, and you have no flows, only a select percentage of those people will buy. When you've got flows, a greater percentage buys, whether that's immediately or whether that's them returning. Either way, you're going to get more out of your money from the ads. And the third thing I would say is the offer, right? A lot of brands have their pages set up. This is kind of tied into the first bottleneck, the CRO bottleneck. So many brands have it set up that their product pages are just like a catalog. Like, this is the product, this is how much it costs, this is how you choose a size or a quantity, and this is how you pay. No persuasion, no, good deal for the customer, it feels. It's just like a catalog, right? And if you don't have an angle, right, that you're going in with, and you don't have a reason for them to buy now, then there's no, real reason why somebody should buy now. And it forces the ads to do more heavy lifting than they should. And again, like I said, this is kind of part CRO, part of your optimizing the website's conversion. But again, your offer, you could have a poorly optimized page, but a great offer, and people will buy anyway, right? So yeah, your weak offer, just like 10% off your first order. Strong offer, maybe like a money back guarantee, a satisfaction guarantee, free shipping, like a free gift if they spend, $80 or $100 or whatever. You don't have to do all of these. I just mean like any one of them, but you can test combinations, right? You can survey your customers, you can speak to people. The idea being that, you've not changing the product here, you're not changing the ads, but you can increase the kind of likelihood that the customer is going to be happy, and that's going to decrease, their reservation as far as like, their resistance to purchasing, and ultimately more people will buy because the perceived risk is lower, the decision's easier, and it's just going to get, again, more out of the traffic you're already sending through to the page. I would say fixing one thing at a time is the right thing to do here. It's good to just look at the entire funnel, or the entire, like, all the metrics, and be like, right, what percentage of our our revenue is coming from email? What percentage of that revenue is from flows? What's our conversion rate? How does that compare to, other brands in the same niche, their conversion rate? How good's our offer really? Like, does this actually seem persuasive? Does this just look like a catalog offer? Looking at these things and just thinking, right, what is the number one thing I can fix here? That's the ideal way of doing it, and then just doing it in sequence, and then just seeing how much of an impact each one has. Doing them all at once can work, but I would advise, if you've already got an established brand and you've already got traffic coming through, it's good to do things one at a time, just so you can see how much of an impact that one thing actually had, right? But yeah, the bottom line is CPAs are going to keep going up over time, right? That's not going to change. Winning brands don't fight that. They fix the real causes of what I'm calling CPA inflation, which is, the things we've covered in this video: poor flows, poor website, poor offer. Losing brands spend months tweaking creatives, messing with the ads, adjusting their targeting, trying to restructure their campaigns, all whilst ignoring the main bottlenecks here. And the winning brands, they fix their conversion, their flows, their offer, and then they use the buffer, the gap between how much it costs for them to acquire a customer now, because that's dramatically lower, and how much they can afford to spend on acquiring a customer. That gap grows, and then they can increase their budget, which inevitably is going to increase your CPA, but they're going to have way more space to kind of work with, wiggle room. And when their CPA fluctuates, if you've got a product that's $100 AOV, and you usually, your current, setup is getting new customers for $90, then you have no wiggle room, right? You've got no buffer. Whereas if you can get customers for $60, the CPA can rise by $20 and you're still in the money. You can spend more money on ads and increase the CPA, and that increases CPA by $20, and now you're just making more money, full stop, and scaling the brand more effectively. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything there is to cover. The brands that lose, aren't just bad at ads; they're fixing the wrong things. Don't get me wrong; it could be your ads, but yeah, most brands got to look at this stuff first. And if you want my help with looking at any of this, then feel free to click the link in the description. You can book a call with me, and I will take a look at it free of charge with my team and let you know exactly what we'd work on first, the impact you could expect on your brand if we do that. And if that looks like it makes sense, then we can work together. And if not, no worries. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.